right, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. So what we just watched was the first anti-tank guided missile and the first vehicle to fire anti-tank guided missiles in War Thunder. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the IT-1. It will supposedly have a fire rate of around 5 missiles per minute, with an automatic reloading mechanism and an inventory of up to 15 missiles. It's going to be based off the T-62 tank chassis, which is kind of scary. It's going to have 3 crew members, and it won't have a main firing gun like so. It's the T-62 without its gun, and it will be firing shaped charge missiles with a penetration of about 250 millimeters at a 60-degree angle. It's going to be firing heat rounds. So the missiles are alleged to fly about 5 times slower than that of an armor-piercing round from a KWK-43, and that they're planning to implement a number of anti-tank guided missile vehicles in the patch. So one can hope for the Sheridan would be pretty cool. And then there's obviously some German ones. I put a picture of it up the other day. I believe it's the Raketenjagdpanzer 1. Right? So it's kind of scary because, I mean, they're anti-tank guided missiles and it's going to be a skill-based weapon, but you can fire by wire kind of a thing where you kind of direct them into a target, it seems, or so it looks. I'm not really sure. We saw them shoot down planes like a B-29. Granted, a B-29 is the biggest target profile to shoot down, but if you can hit tanks and planes, there's going to be some epic videos to come out of that, but it's also going to be kind of scary. So it's going to be the first tanks with anti-tank guided missiles in War Thunder. Non-disputable, researchable, top of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic SPG tree. So researchable. Yeah. It's going to be researchable. It's going to be in the main tech tree, not a premium. And I think a lot of people were pretty surprised with that. So that's about the IT-1, not to be confused with the ST-1, right? But like what it means to me is like they obviously if it's based off the T-62 chassis, it's, you know, the T-60 could come soon, right? I mean, you gotta be a little worried about that. But then again, if the player base increases to a point, you could have World War II vehicles and post-World War II vehicles in theoretically a proper matchmaking, and that would kind of alleviate, I think, a lot of my fears for this. It all depends on, you know, where it is, because that thing we saw like kill a mouse, I'm pretty sure, and a Jagdtiger from behind, and then a cute little Panzer III, and then a B-29. Those were all the things that we saw these ATGM missiles kill. So we've got a little bit more information. We're going to be talking about the Douglas B-18 right now. And the Douglas was kind of one of those planes that the United States wasn't ready for World War II. And, then we were forced into it, more or less. So the B-18 is actually kind of like the Heinkel 111 in that it was a commercial plane that was then moved for military service, kind of like the Focke-Wulf 200 as well. But what's interesting about the B-18 Bolo is that it had a very, very impressive bomb load, about 4,400 pounds, at least according to the wiki for the B-18A. But, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a nice medium bomber for the Americans, and it looks cool. It actually looks kind of funny. In one of the pictures, if you were to flip it upside down, it actually looked like the cockpit and fuselage look better, or look more appropriate if you were to flip it upside down. But anyway, right, so a little bit more information. There's a lot of info coming out, and about the next patch. There's a lot. All this stuff is coming out in Russian. We haven't gotten too much in, on the English or English language based forums or dev blogs or anything like that. There's still nothing up on the dev blogs in English, which is unfortunate, I think, because you got to come out with this stuff. Like I'm literally having to ship over like crates of vodka to various sources in Russia just to get this information. Many Bothan spies died to get this information. No, like there's a lot of stuff being shared from multilingual people on the Reddits and the forums. So that's no Bothans were harmed in the making of this video. Please, guys. So a little more information just about the upcoming patch, the next upcoming major patch. So probably 1.59. There was a patch today, actually, that came out, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But they're planning on 2 more open-topped SPGs for the German tree at tier 4 and 5. So will we get the Waffentrager? That would be pretty awesome. And then they also said there might be a 3rd one for tier 5. And then the damage model hasn't been changed for the past year, but it's due, and there's a lot of damage models that will be changed for aircrafts in the near future. And then in a few days, there'll be more patching on HE shells and for performance on light armored vehicles. And I'm pretty sure that happened today. That's kind of like the little patch that happened today with regards to 10.05 to 16, basically May 10th server update. And what it says is bomb damage values have been corrected. You can read all that. Efficiency of HE shells against lightly armored or unarmored units has been increased, and I think that is huge, because when you're going up against SPAA or, kind of like the trucks and stuff like that, and hopefully we're going to, get more armored cars, and that will definitely play into the effect. But there's some information on that little patch that popped today. So there's Last Man Standing might be removed from War Thunder. I'm kind of in favor of that. There's a lot of times where Last Man Standing can be cool, but at the same time, I think it might slow down play. I don't know. I've had very good and, not so good experiences with Last Man Standing. Both fun and where it's just like you feel like you're just stuck. So there's going to be an upcoming mini patch to change bombs and torpedoes. And I'm really hoping that is, kind of planning for War Thunder ships in the future, because you're going to have to get your bombs and torpedoes right in order to deal with, not hit point based ships, but damage model based ships. So, yeah, they're looking into information on World War II bombing runs and torpedo attacks, guys. That's War Thunder ships right there. And I guess here we go. Here's some information on cap circles. They don't think capturing a circle in the middle of nowhere is a good thing. They're working on something that will make sense. Ammo depots as cap zones is a possibility, a lot more. Basically making it seem more interesting instead of just like, wow, this nice circle on this hill or in this valley or 3 miles outside of this city is actually a worthy place. So patch 1.61, they're going to add a bunch of SPAA early and late. So that sounds like 1.61 is an SPAA patch. Remember when I wanted Bomber 2.0? I still think we need a Bomber 2.0 patch, but I guess if they're working on bombing runs and torpedo attacks, that's a slight variant of that, right? A little bit in that. They're going to add armor. 1.59 will be more premiums for the British, and they're going to add an SPAA with a 76 millimeter cannon. So I'm actually not too familiar on any vehicles that had 76 millimeter SPAA. So if you guys do, let me know. They're saying more armored cars are to come, right? Puma hype, but there's no information as to when or what armored cars. And they're saying that they need more tanks at tier 5. And once they do that, they'd be more likely to separate World War II and post-World War II vehicles. There's going to be some modifications on the Leopard and the M60. And finally, Japanese Ground Forces tree is confirmed to come out this year. But it will likely be what they did with the British at first, where there was a few premiums that came out first. And then, you would get the main tree coming a little bit later. And, I think that's cool and all, because I know the Japanese had a few, which would be equivalent of very low tier, vehicles that were amphibious. I still think amphibious vehicles would be cool to develop a bit more, because all we got really right now is the PT-76, and I like fun, derpy things like that. Yeah, so that's more or less the information on patch 1.59 and patch 1.61. But it sounds like if 1.61 is going to come, July, August, September, I think 1.59 is in the near and immediate future. And I think we can all look forward to that and wait to see what happens. I'm still undecided on anti-tank guided missiles, personally. It all kind of depends on, are there going to be countermeasures to it? I mean, we don't have like reactive armor or anything like that, and reactive armor was developed for these kinds of weapon systems. I'm not looking forward to flying my B-29s around in a Tier 5 battle anytime soon, nor was I really ever. But hey, that's beside the point. We got to keep the game balanced and going in the right way, right? Or keep it, or maybe move it towards it anyway. That's up to debate. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a final glance at the probably most controversial and most iconic vehicle coming out of patch 1.59, the IT-1 with its ATGM missiles. So if you got any more information, or if you got any questions about these upcoming patches, let me know in the comments below. Pull the trigger on that like button. Let me know you're interested in this stuff, because if not, we can move to different kinds of content, and I can fire ATGMs at your shit. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.